Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Stottara Sadhushimaras Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Stottara Sadhushimaras Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय नवद्वीप धाम की जय गंगा मई की जय जमुना मई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Nitai Gaura Brahmanande. Hare Hare.
Hare Hare Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Bol.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Swami Namaste Krishna Padaya Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Narayana Namaskritya Narom Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Ujirayat Nashta Praiswa Padresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavatu Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Jai. Good morning, dear devotees. Please accept our obeisances, glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, the Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 10, and text 37 through 40, 37, 38, 39, and 40. So, 4 texts together. Prajapatin Mahnun Devan, Rishin Priti Kanam Prituk, Siddha Charana Gandavan, Vidyadra Shuraguhyakan, Kinarapsara Sonagan, Sapan Kim Purusan Naran, Mati Raksha Pisachamsha, Pretabuta Vinayakan, Kushmandon Madhavitalan, Yatudhanam Grahanapi, Kagan Rikan Pashun Brikshan, Hirin Ripa Sarishripan, Vidaschatur Vidayenye, Jalastala Nabokasha, Kushala Kushala Mishra, Kamanam Gatayastima Prajapatin Manundevan Rishin Priti Ganan Pritak Siddha Charana Gandavan Vidya Suraguhyakan Kinarapsaraso Nagan Sarpam Kimpurushan Naran Mati Raksha Pisachamscha Preta Bhuta Vinayakan Kushmandon Madhavetalan Yatu Danan Grahanapi Kagan Mrigan Pashun Vikshan Girin Ripa Sarishripan Vividas Chaturvidan Vidanyani Jala Stala Nabos Kasa Kushala Mishra Karmanan Gatayastima Prajapatin Manundevan Rishin Priti Ganan Pritak Siddha Charana Gandavan Vidya Drasuraguhyakan Kinarapsara Sunagan Sarpan Kim Purushan Nara Mati Raksha Pishacham Cha Preta Bhuta Vinayakan Kushmandon Matavitalan Yatudanam Grihan Api Kagan Rigan Pashun Dikshan Girin Ripa Sharishripan Vividas Chatuvidanyenye Jalastala Napokasha Kushala Mishra Kavanam Gatayastvima. Hare Krishna. You can try if you want. Anyone?
Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Rajapatin manon devan Rishin pitraganan pritak Siddhacharan Gandharvan Vidyatrashur Guyakan Kinnarapsaraso Nagan Sarpan Kim Purushan Naran Matri Rakshaha Vishachamscha Pretabhuta Vinayakan Ushamandon Mad Vetalan Yatu Dhanana Grahanapi Khagan Mrigan Vashun Vrikshan Girin Nirpasari Sripan Dvividaश्चतुर्विधाये अन्ये जलस्थल नभोकषाः कोशाला कुशाला मिश्राणि कर्माणां गतयस्त्वा इमा.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, I can try.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
Prajapatin manuntevan risin pitriganan prithak siddhacharana gandharvan vidyadhrasuraguyakan kinnarapsaro nagan sarpan kim purushan naran raksha pisachamscha preta bhuta vinayakan कुष्माण्डोन्मादबेतालान् यातु धानान् ग्रहानपि खगान् मृगान् पशुं वृक्षान् गिरीन् नृपा सरीसृपान् द्विविधाश्चतुर्विधायन्ये जलस्थलानभौकसः कुशलाकुशलमिश्रा कर्मणां गतयस्तु इमः.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I don't hear anyone else, so we'll start word for word now.
Prajapatin.
Okay, please.
Is it okay?
Yeah, please, go on.
Prajapatin manun devan rishin pitirganan prityak siddhacharana gandharvan vidyadharasura guhyakan kinnarapsara nagan sarpan kimpurushan naran matre raksha pisachamsha प्रेतभूता विनायकान् कूष्माण् कूष्माण् कूष्माण्डन्मद मदवे वेतालान् यातु धनान् ग्रहान् अपि खगान् मृगान् पशून् वृक्षान् गृन्नृपा सर्पि सरिस्फिरमान् द्विविधाश्चतुर्वेदाये अन्ये जलस्थला नभोषा कुशला मिश्रा कुर्मान् कर्माणां गतयस्त्वमिमा. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right, so now we do word for word. Prajapatin, Brahma and his sons like Daksha and others. Manu, the periodical heads like Vaivashvat Manu. Devan, like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna. Rishin, like Brigu and Vashishta. Pitriganan, the inhabitants of the Pita planets. Pritak, separately. Siddha, the inhabitants of the Siddha planet. Charana, the inhabitants of the Charana planet. Gandavan, the inhabitants of the Gandhava planets. Vidyadhara, the inhabitants of the Vidyadhara planet. Asura, the atheists. Guhyakan, the inhabitants of the Yaksha planet. Kinara, the inhabitants of the Kinara planet. Apsarasa, the beautiful angels of the Apsara planet. Nagan, the serpentine inhabitants of Nagaloka. Sarpan, the inhabitants of Sapaloka, snakes. Kimpurushan, the monkey-shaped inhabitants of the Kimpurush planet. Naran, the inhabitants of earth. Mati, the inhabitants of Matiloka. Raksha, the inhabitants of the demoniac planet. Pishachan, the inhabitants of Pishachaloka. Cha also. Preta, the inhabitants of Pretaloka. Bhuta, the evil spirits. Vinayakan, the goblins. Kushmanda, willow the wisp. Unmada, lunatics. Vetalam, the jinn. Yatudhanan, a particular type of evil spirit. Grahan, the good and evil stars. Api, also. Kagan, the birds. Mrigan, the forest animals. Pashun, the household animals. Vrikshan, the ghosts. Girin, the mountains. Nripa, O king. Sarishripan, reptiles. Dvivida, the moving and the standing living entities. Chatuvidha, living entities born from embryos, eggs, perspiration, and seeds. Ye, others. Anye, all. Jala, water. Sthala, land. Naba, Okasha, birds. Kushala, in happiness. Akushala, in distress. Mishra, in mixed happiness and distress. Karmanan, according to one's own past deeds. Gataya, as a result of. To, but. Ima, all of them. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O King, know from me that all living entities are created by the Supreme Lord according to their past deeds. This includes Brahma and the sons like Daksha, the periodical heads like Vaishvatmanu, the demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna, the great sages like Bhrigu, Vyasa, and Vashishta, the inhabitants of Pitri-loka and Siddha-loka, the Charanas, Gandhavas, Vidyaharas, Asuras, Yakshas, Kinnaras, and angels, the serpentines, the monkey-shaped Kimpurushas, the human beings, the inhabitants of Matri-loka, the demons, Pishachas, ghosts, spirits, lunatics, and evil spirits, the good and evil stars, the goblins, the animals in the forest, the birds, the household animals, the reptiles, the mountains, the moving and standing living entities, the living entities born from embryo, from eggs, from perspiration, and from seeds, and all others, whether they be in the water, land, or sky, in happiness, in distress, or in mixed happiness and distress, all of them, according to their past deeds, are created by the Supreme Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The varieties of living entities are mentioned in this list, and with no exception from the topmost planet down to the lowest planet of the universe, all of them in different species of life are created by the Almighty Father, Vishnu. Therefore, no one is independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text 4, the Lord therefore claims all living entities as his offspring in the following verse. Sarva yunishu konteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahadyuni aham bija pradapita. The material nature is compared to the mother. Although every living being is seen to come out of the mother's body, it is still a fact that the mother is not the ultimate cause of such a birth. The father is the ultimate cause of birth. Without the father's seed, no mother can give birth to a child. Therefore, the living beings in different varieties of forms and positions within the innumerable universes are all born of the seeds of the Almighty Father, the personality of Godhead. And only to the man with a forefront of knowledge do they appear to be born of the material nature. Being under the material nature of the Supreme Lord, all living beings, beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, are manifested in different bodies according to their past deeds. The material nature is one of the energies of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 4, The material nature is inferior in comparison to the living entities, the superior nature. The superior nature and inferior nature of the Lord combine to manifest all universal affairs. Some of the living entities are relatively happy in better conditions of life, whereas others are in distressed conditions of life. But factually, none of them are actually happy in material condition life. No one can be happy in prison life, although one may be a first-class prisoner and another a third-class prisoner. The intelligent person should not try to be promoted from third-class prison life to first-class prison life, but should try to be released from the prison altogether. One may be promoted to a first-class prisoner, but the same first-class prisoner is again degraded to a third-class prisoner in the next term. One should try to be free from prison life and go back home, back to Godhead. That is the real goal for all types of living entities. Oma Ginati Mirandasya, Gyana Gana Shalakaya. Chakshu Amritam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaisnavamscha. Shirupa Sakijatam Sahagana Gunatam Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishaka Ambitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutai Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhive Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Smivari Paschatya Adhishatayani Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gurachise Rama Anandali Maya Vigrahaya Himavira Vichavashandaraya Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Hare Krishna. The English translation again. O King, know from me that all living entities are created by the Supreme Lord according to their past deeds. This includes Brahma and his sons like Daksha, the periodical heads like Vaishvatamanu, the demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna, the great sages like Brigu, Vyasa, and Vashishta, the inhabitants of Pitruloka and Siddhaloka, the Charanas, Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Asuras, Yakshas, Kinnaras, and angels, the serpentines, the monkey-shaped Kimpurushas, the human beings, the inhabitants of Matruloka, the demons, the Pishachas, ghosts, spirit, lunatics, and evil spirits, the good and the evil stars, the goblins, the animals in the forest, the birds, the household animals, the reptiles, the mountains, the moving and standing living entities, the living entities born from embryo, from eggs, from perspiration, and from seeds, and all others, whether they be in the water, land, or sky, in happiness, in distress, or in mixed happiness and distress, all of them, according to their past deeds, are created by the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. So everything is really covered here, it seems like. Srimad Bhagavatam is very detailed when it comes to things that affect our lives. It's done in a wonderful, wonderful way. So these sets of texts, the four texts, text 37 to 40, are done in a very wonderful way, talking about the fact that the Supreme Lord is the seed-giving Father for all entities. And the one thing that also is quite impressive about this is the way Srimad Bhagavatam gives us a sense of the groups of people or the groups of entities, all with the same type of soul, same quality soul, but in these different bodies, from the heavenly planets, where like the Brahma is, of course, the highest material planet, and the other Prajapatis, because Brahma is to do the creation, and so his sons like Daksha and others really help in producing. Kashapa Muni is also another one, also very much in the category of Prajapati. And the different Manus, in one day of Lord Brahma, 14 Manus, the daytime of Lord Brahma, in the first 12 hours, 14 Manus, and each has a reign. We are actually in the Vaishvat Manu now, which is the middle of these 14, in terms of how many have come and how many are yet to come. We're in the middle of it. And that way you can kind of tell Brahma's time also. So the Manu that we're in, the seventh Manu, is like, for if we look at Brahma's day from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening, then we're looking around 12 thereabouts, 11, 12, 12:30 thereabouts of Brahma's time, Brahma's daytime. Now, Brahma's day is actually 4,320,000,000 years. So you're talking about half of that. So, 2 billion, almost 2.2 billion years have gone by at this point. Anyway, the Lord is indicating here that wherever the living entities are in these three planetary systems, they all came from him. So it is very interesting how detailed Srimad Bhagavatam is in talking about these types of the types of living entities, even those born from embryos, which is we are. We were born from embryos, human beings. Eggs, we know the chickens are born from eggs. Perspiration, germs come from that, and seeds, plants come from that, like that. And so many things pointed out so wonderfully here, some which we may know of, some may not know of. And then he talks about those based on where they are located. They may be in happiness, they may be in distress, or in mixed happiness and distress. Mixed happiness and distress, that's the situation we're in the medium type planets, like the Earth planet. A little bit of relief comes, and then there's trouble. Sometimes it comes uninvited, but then we have to put up with it. But it's according to our past deeds that a person, a living entity, a soul, is put into one of these bodies. That's quite clear to us by now. So in the translation, this is all broken down. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that all varieties of living entities, from the topmost planet to the lowest planet of the universe, all these different species of life are created through the Almighty Father, Vishnu. Now, the point is made by Srila Prabhupada. Of course, there is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but Vishnu form is the one that's for creation. It's almost, and if you don't mind, I coined the word for this, the working Krishna, that's Vishnu. The working Krishna, because Krishna himself, he has fun all the time. Even when he's killing demons, he's having fun. So the working, means the creation and so on, those things that are necessary to be done, that is done to the agency of Vishnu. But when Krishna comes for his pastimes, Vishnu is also there. All the Vishnus come with them. That is explained by Srila Prabhupada. So, Sabayunishu Kanteya, Bhutaya Sambhavantiya, Tasam Brahma Mahadhyuni Aham Bija Pradapita. All species of life, Sabayunishu, all forms, Bhutaya, they all appear, all of them. Tasam, they are from the Supreme. The Supreme is actually the source of birth in the material substance. As Srila Prabhupada explains very nicely in this purport here. Yes, the material nature is like the mother in terms of coming up with the different living entities as far as supplying the bodies. But the mother is not the ultimate cause of birth. As we know, the woman can't just get pregnant. When I remember when I was a little boy, just living in the community, I was in Ghana at the time, and we knew of people who we didn't understand marriage very well, but there's father and mother, and we always compared the kids to, this person's the parents to this person's father, this person's mother. This is how children look at it. They don't know much beyond that. And they take care of them, they have their homes. But then after a while, they say, this woman is gotten pregnant. And I always wondered, they got pregnant? How did they get pregnant? Hmm? Of course, as a little boy in Ghana, and because of the culture, nobody would ever explain that to me. But I knew that how they got pregnant. The child is born, and then somebody else gets pregnant. So it is actually the seeding process. Later on, they found out that there's a seeding process which comes from the male. So Krishna, or Lord Vishnu, is the ultimate cause of birth. And even in the different species, without the seed of the father, the mother cannot get pregnant and give birth to a child. So all living beings are in that way. And it's very interesting how Lord Brahma has this whole creation coming in different forms, sometimes in eggs, sometimes in seed, sometimes in the embryo, and then the one that science does not know about, and that is the perspiration part of it. They just know that the germs could be in perspiration. Yes, germs are everywhere. But are they actually conceived in, or just born? They come to be in the medium of this perspiration. That science doesn't know at all. We just know that the germs produce, and they can expand to produce. I mean, they can divide to produce more. It's very, 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 very crude, for lack of a better word, the way they understand this. So Bhagavatam again reveals that the medium by which they come is through some of them through the perspiration process. And in other times too, it's mentioned that heat, just the temperature in the weather is also a fueling ingredient for some of the insects that we see. We know very well, we have the knowledge that outside when it gets cold, you don't see a single fly. You won't find it. But summertime, you see a lot of flies. Therefore, heat is also part of the reason why these particular insects are produced. So, but the Lord is in fact the seed giver for all of them. So, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, text 4, Bhumyapo nalo vayu kam manu buddhir evacha ahankara iti me bhuma pakiti astada. So the separated material energies of the Lord: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and falsity. These 8 constitute the separated material energies. And it is interesting how certain beings in certain physical type bodies can only survive in certain areas. The earth, for us, we are on the earth. We cannot survive in water unless we have some sort of enclosure in the water, like a submarine. But it may be in water, may be deep down in water, but those in the submarine are not in direct contact with water, like the fish. So we can't survive there, and certainly we can't survive in fire either, even though we use those. But we use air for breathing. And the fish, they cannot survive on the land like that. They need the water. Even if they need air in a certain way. Either from the water, they get it directly from the water, the air that's dissolved in the water, or some fish just come up and take a gulp of air and then go back in there go back in the water. So it's all intricately designed and put into place by Lord Brahma. But each one of them is from the father, the male species, impregnating the female species, and then they produce their own. Now, Srila Prabhupada mentions that some of the living entities are relatively happy in better conditions of life. Why does he say that? Well, because we have the higher planetary systems when there's more, way, way more compared to us, way, way, way more material amenities available. And then the bodies that are there also live a long time. Like in Brahmaloka, the average lifetime is 15. It's in the Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2. I think it's text 25 from it may be there, around that area. Life in Brahmaloka, the topmost planet, 15 trillion 480 billion years. That's not Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma lives even longer than that. This is the regular, those inhabitants of the planet of Brahmaloka. 15 trillion years and 480 billion. 480 billion alone is long. 15 trillion. Trillion is a million taken a million times. A million taken a million times. 15 trillion years. So they're deathless. Sometimes they call it deathless because death comes so late in life compared to, of course, our our solar type calendar that we have here. So they live a much longer time. And then, of course, the conditions are that they have the 8 mystic cities. They're just born with it, making themselves lighter, making themselves heavier, making themselves very small, atomic, being able to take anything from any other planet, just being able to travel. Like, with the speed of the mind, all of those things they're able to do. That's Brahmaloka. And some of the lokas below that, also the inhabitants, they have those abilities. But the point is, Srila Prabhupada said they are relatively happy. That is, when they say relative means compared to other situations. And then others are in distressed condition of life, the lower planetary systems, and then below that, the hellish planets where the Yamadutas are at, the living entities there are going through very, very, very severe punishment. So, Srila Prabhupada says, factually though, nobody is happy, actually happy, that is totally happy in material condition life. Why? Because the material world is a prison. And sometimes in prison, some amenities are given, and in other prisons, those amenities are not there. So those ones that have more amenities, those who are living there are relatively happy. That is happy compared to those who are in other prison planets, in the material planets, that don't have those facilities or the abilities for the physical bodies that we just described, like those in Brahmaloka, they have. And so Srila Prabhupada is saying, one cannot be happy in prison life, whether in the high planets or in the low planets. First class prisoner in the higher planets, third class prisoner in the lower planets, or let's say, and then we can put as second class prisoner in the medium type planets. So one should not try to be promoted from a third class, or for that matter, second class, to a first class type prison, but try to be released from the prison altogether, which brings the point here about what religionists are doing. So the whole idea of religion in this Kali Yuga now, in the religious denominations, whether it's Muslim, whether it's Christian, all of these ones, Baha'i, and there's a lot of them. Every one of them talks about life being better if you follow what I ask you to do. What's life being better? Go to a first-class prison. They call it heaven. I'm just calling it for what it is. It's a first-class prison. There are more amenities in that prison. But it is a prison. It is a prison. And so, and in prison, nobody can be fully happy. Happiness is there. The distress in the first-class prison is lower. But living entities being who they are, and the fact that every one of them came from a situation where they're envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that envy is still there. Even in this first-class prison, the heavenly planets, the envy is there. And the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, none other than Lord Indra himself said that, admitted that there's rivalry and there's also envy. That's there. And there are situations that sometimes Bhagavatam, in some places in Bhagavatam, it's reported that, Indra himself did, going after somebody's wife, Gautam Muni's wife, Ahelia, had a relationship, more the passion. This is so many things happen. Of course, the Muni can, in fact, see, if he has remote viewing, he can tell when he was in a different place, he knew what was going on between his wife and Indra. And Indra came to this lady, he could change himself. So he made himself look like this lady's husband, Ahelia's husband. Ahelia found out later on, but still, she allowed this relation to go on, and she got cursed by her husband. And Indra also got cursed. The point is, the details not even important, but this is an unfortunate situation, and it happened where? In the first-class prison. The first-class prison. In another situation, Brihaspati. This is the priest of the devil. He was involved in something similar. Having sexual relationship with the wife of the moon god. Brihaspati. You think he would know better? Where does that happen? In the heavenly planets. First-class prison. So we hear all of these things, and what do we want with the first-class prison? Why do we want to go to any kind of prison at all? So Srila Prabhupada says that it doesn't make any sense to go from a third-class prison and then at some point, based on what's done, this first-class prisons are not forever. After a long time of living there, one will be brought down to a lower prison. So today we're not calling them heavenly planets, medium planets, low planets. We're calling them the prisons that they are. First-class prison, second-class prison, third-class prison. If it is a prison, there's no need to be there. And that's this whole thing Srila Prabhupada is saying. One may be promoted to this first class, but he will come down to a third-class prison another time. So the best thing, the most intelligent thing, is to be free from prison life to go back home, back to Godhead, which is the real goal for all types of living entities, especially the ones that are human. The 400,000 typed out of the 8,400,000, the ones that have the intelligence to understand what the next life is supposed to be, understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and ready to prepare for that. So we are very, very, very fortunate that Srila Prabhupada has made it possible for us to go. As it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 51, I'll just read the translation only. By engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from this karma situation, the results of work in the material world, in whatever class prison that they're in, first class, second class, third class. When we engage in devotional service to the Lord, as the Lord has said, Bhakti Amama Vijananti, devotional service is the only way you get to know Him. And He also says that when we are thinking of Him at the time of death, then that gives us the opportunity to go to His abode. That is, we leave these prisons, the different class prisons, and go back. So great sages, when we say we should follow the footsteps of these great sages, they involve themselves in devotional service. And this is the way they become free from the cycle of birth, death, not to mention old age and disease, and beyond all miseries. They get out beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead. So the miseries stop when we go back to Godhead. And whichever way you look at it, this is the way, especially on this earth, that life is designed. Every entity gets old. And getting old is terrible because the body is breaking down, and therefore pain, you have to live with pain, you have to live with limited movement and all kinds of things that happen that make us begin not to like the body so much. Sometimes when you're younger, the body is able to do some things more efficiently, and it may even be impressive. But after a while, you give it a few decades, the body slows down badly, and then it also begins to get sick because of things that are breaking down. Now, for a devotee, even though we'll go through the same situation with our physical bodies, that should be the indication that this place is not worth living. The body is very temporary and it gives us pain. So why should we take another body next life? And that brings me to a story that happened in the Harrisburg area. There was this Mataji, Indian body Mataji. She was quite young, married. She had a child. At that time, the child was about 5 years old, daughter. And unfortunately, she contracted cancer. And it was difficult, very, very difficult for her. All of us, we didn't know how it's like a person that has that particular disease. She was about teen at that time, and she was aspiring for His Honor's Radha Govinda Maharaj. So when Radha Govinda Maharaj heard what had happened, arrangement was made for him, and he was so merciful enough to travel from India. He lives in the Vrindavan area, all the way to Harrisburg in the United States to give this one Mataji initiation. He came personally just to do that. So Maharaj gave the mercy. And after a while, when some time of treatment was done, this disease took over her body. And now she had to be given breathing machines to even just go on with life. So she was hitched to 6 machines. But before that happened, I got a call at home, and her husband was on the phone. I know them quite well. The husband was on the phone and said to me, my wife doesn't want to chant anymore. And we all knew that she was very sick. Why? She said that, well, she's quite depressed on the things that happened. And we've tried to get some of what he's talking to, but he won't listen to anybody. And since you were older, maybe he'll respect the fact that your age is where it is and how long you've been in this Krishna consciousness and may listen to you. So can you please talk to my wife? Now here I am. I'm not a counselor, but he said, talk to my wife. So all right. So I took the phone and asked her. So this time she's already been initiated as a spiritual master now. So she's in good shape. The husband is not initiated. The daughter is only 5 years old, so she's not initiated. So this woman was the only one that was. And I began to ask her, I guess your husband called me and told me that you were quite depressed, why? So she began to explain that she feels disappointed that she can't, because of the way her body is giving her problems, she cannot be a good wife to her husband and a good mother to her daughter. And so these are the 2 things that were bothering her. Now, again, I'm not a counselor. So you tell me this, I don't really know what to do, but I know one thing. You can always pray to the spiritual master to see what comes. The spiritual masters are very merciful. They can help in situations like that. So I heard her out, and I had taken a sales course earlier. I won't go too far back, but one of the sales things, they tell you that if you're talking to somebody and want to convince them about something, especially what you want them to do or buy, whatever they tell you, they call it the objections in sales. Whatever they tell you, first you repeat to them for them to know that you've heard. Then you begin to deal with the solutions for it. And when you solve things for them, most likely they will get the product that you want them to get. So that flashed in my mind. So I said, okay, I don't know what to tell her, but at least I can repeat what you told her. So, all right, so Mataji, you're saying that you are depressed because you don't get an opportunity to now serve your own child as a mother as you used to. And you can't serve your husband well as you used to because of the situation. She said, yes. Now, meantime, as I'm saying this, I'm praying hard to my Guru for a solution. So, all right, I said, okay. And after prayers, these things are very important. They'll come. Some solution will come. And it did, in fact, come to the help of Sri Papa, my Guru Maharaj. So then I told her, you want to serve your daughter and your husband nicely. But spiritually, you can serve them even better than what you can do materially to them. And that surprised her. Spiritually, I could do better. He said, how? Then I explained that every devotee, if they make it back to the spiritual world, even at the level of being like even third class devotee, even at that, I didn't mention third class, they said 3 families before you and 3 families after you, they can be liberated from the material world just by you being allowed back in the spiritual world. They will be liberated totally. Hmm? Which means your husband and your wife, your daughter, definitely, you can serve them nicely, much better. Liberation to this from the material world, a whole lot better. So she agreed to that. And I said, but you know something, there's one more. I said, we all don't know what a person who has this disease feels, but we know that it's a very, very terrible situation. She said, yes. I said, but you also have to understand it's your physical body that's giving you these problems. Your physical body. Hmm? Not your soul, your physical body. She said, yeah. I said, well, given the fact that your physical body is giving you these kind of problems, would you like to be in the physical body another life? She goes, absolutely not. I'm not going to want to be in a physical body because you can go through another type of sickness, maybe worse than this one. I said, okay, so you don't want to be in physical body next life. So if you don't want to be there, where's the only place that you can go that you won't be in a physical body? He said, the spiritual world. Good. How do you prepare to go to the spiritual world now that you can't do anything? You can hear and you can chant, especially chanting. Hmm? So then all I have to do is just wrap it up for her. One, you can serve your husband and you can serve your daughter and even your family members before you and after you just by being allowed to go back to the spiritual world. They will also be released. Much better help than any help that you can give them physically with your own body, even if you were healthy. Hmm? And second, well, this body has taught you a big lesson about pain. So you certainly don't want another body next life. So then what do you have to do? You have to make sure you go back. Well, and then I told you already have a spiritual master, an initiated spiritual master. So you all set to go. What do you have to do? I have to keep chanting. I said, absolutely. I hung up the phone. Half hour later, phone rang again. Her husband is back on the phone. And she tells me, and he tells me, oh, I don't know what you told my wife, but after you hung up the phone, she picked up the bead back and she won't stop chanting. I said, hey. So this is what happened. We have got to remember this. We brought it up. We are in the type of body that is with the level of intelligence that we know. And then we're fortunate to be connected to Krishna consciousness with knowing that we can leave all these prisons and go to the spiritual world, along with family members, whether they're interested in God consciousness or not, they can all be released from the material world. This is how important it is. If we do go to the spiritual world after this body, though, then those connected to us, according to the flesh, they can also get released. Hmm? Somebody may think, well, what if my family member doesn't believe in God? He's an atheist. Well, you know where atheists go? The same place the demons go. The effulgence, Brahmajyoti. That is also spiritual. Hmm? That is also spiritual. So even those who don't believe in Krishna or don't take religion seriously, God consciousness seriously, even they will spend protected a long time peacefully in the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are believers, yes, they have opportunity to go to even some of the Vaikuntha planets. We that did the actual work of renunciation, we have the opportunity to go back to, especially Goloka Vrindavan. Goloka Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada has given us a chance to go there. But don't forget, each one, if we try hard enough with the instructions given to us and serving from our hearts, if we try hard, this is a big opportunity, not for only us going to the spiritual world, but family members before and after us going to the spiritual world also. This is how much, that's not from our doing. This is how much mercy is there if we take the process seriously. And so, we are in this text, all kinds of entities have been described here, but we know ourselves. We are in these human bodies, going through this birth, death, old age, and diseases. But we also know the Vaikuntha planets are there, the Brahmajyoti is there, for our family members if we make it back. If we don't make it back to the spiritual world, then the connection is broken. Nobody goes. You'll come back as a person that doesn't go will come back as a human being, having eaten prasadam. This is an automatic human being. Also, we'll talk about today, later on today, there's Rath Yatra at City Island in Harrisburg. Those who see the face of Lord Jagannath. So important we come up. Those who see the face of Lord Jagannath, even if they don't understand who Lord Jagannath is, still have that boon of coming back in a human body. Those who see Lord Jagannath. So Jagannath's outing, coming out to so much mercy that's there. And of course, in ISKCON, we do free vegetarian feast, also prasadam, which is another weapon that helps a person not only to have wonderful, good food, good for the human body, no meat, no eggs, no fish, none of that, but it also gives a person opportunity to come back as a human form. If they were meant to go to a lower form, still that would be taken away. And even more the ignorance people eating prasadam will get an opportunity to be born in a human body. And at some point, based on Krishna's own plan, start their own path in Krishna consciousness back to Godhead. So this whole process here has so much mercy built in. All we have to do is take it seriously. Many of us worry about our family members, but actually, if we take Krishna consciousness more seriously, the family members will be blessed a lot more than we can do for them. So this is what we, involved in. Never, the last point I want to make is from the preface of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, as it is, written by Srila Prabhupada, given comments by Srila Prabhupada, along with other references from Vishwanath Chakravarti, Sridhar Swami, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, all of their writings added to it. It is the best. Lord Chaitanya says that anyone who tries to understand Bhagavad Gita from a Mayavadi point of view will commit a great blunder. So that's one thing that we need to be very careful of. Don't think any, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Nitya, all that kind of stuff. Stay away from those kind of things. So Papa has already defeated it with argument. But if you have a Mayavadi telling, and you would know what they'll say because they will not say anything about going to Krishna Loka. They will say the highest is to merge into the effulgence of the Lord. They'll say that. Then you know immediately you're dealing with the Mayavadi. Or that they tell you that you'll be at the level of Narayan after a while of studying. You know you're dealing with the Mayavadi then. They will be bewildering to us. So it will keep us from going back home, back to Godhead. So we need this. And then the final thing is don't offend other devotees. That's it. And then you get to go back. And your family members too. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So thank you for allowing me to do this service. If you want to make a comment or ask a question, please unmute yourself and do so. Hare Krishna. Jai. So any comments? Oh, I can't see that we made the host. All right, so we can end whenever we want. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice information you gave. That how to reach spiritual world. So I have to try that because I'm at the last stage, so that I need to try that now. I'm just doing, but blindly I'm doing. So
yeah, It's especially when you get up in age, you really begin to wonder. I personally, I begin
That's
to wonder. I say, have I done enough for my switching my style?
that's true.
Sometimes I remember things and I'm going, no, but I don't know. I don't know whether I get the mercy fully because, but actually it comes from the heart. The attitude towards service is what's most important. Not so much
That's
the amount of things, than the attitude towards service. If you're just willing to, they ask you and you're willing to jump in. No excuses, no, this, that, and the other, or grudging. Never do service in a grudging way. Then, and of course, chanting your rounds and obeying the regulated principles. Till Papa says if we do that, then he says he guaranteed that Krishna will accept us. And you have to believe that because how in the world can anybody allow us to chant 16 rounds when we're supposed to chant 64 rounds? If Papa can get that kind of mercy,
yes.
and he says, you go to the spiritual world on that. Well, I'd believe it with all my heart. All I have to do is just do what he says to do. And the chances are there to go back. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhu,
Hare Krishna. Go ahead, Shiva.
for all that information. Yes, we had tried.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Anyone else want to meet
Hare
yourself?
Krishna, Prabhu. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Very good. Prabhu, question, like we're talking about the services. Sometimes the situation comes like you want to do some service, but there will be other devotees more eager to do that same service. So it's hard for you to decide. Either you give that service away or you do it. So how do we decide?
Well, we're deciding on what position, because I understand your question. How do you decide as what? As the person doing the service? Let me see if I understand your question. So you talked about service and more than one person able to do the service, including yourself. So somebody else wants to do it, should you give it away? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Does the person do the service? If it's, first of all, if it's possible to do it with them, that would be my first choice. Do it together. Do it together. Because then both of you get the credits from it. And of course, you can relate well too, like that. Now, if the person, now we're going to look at different situations. Apart from working together, if the person wants to do the service all by themselves, remember one thing. In fact, there's two things, but one, you don't want to get into a situation where there is now misunderstanding or hard feelings, and now somebody's upset. You fight them. If you fight them about doing the service, if you fight them, they're gonna get upset. It's better that you have them do it. Now, here's the reason, and that's the second point. When we are willing to do service from our hearts first, heart's mind, we are willing to do service, and we don't even get to do the service, we still get spiritual credits because we were ready to do the service if the service was there. We get spiritual credits from that alone. And in my own case, there were things when I was living in Gidanagri that I would very much have liked to do at the Dham. I wanted to do it. I wasn't given the opportunity to do it. Most of the things that I was thinking of, the temple president is there now, Dhruva, he's done it. And I'm very happy, not envious, I'm very happy that it's done because I just wanted to see it happening in Gidanagri. At that time, it was physically, it was underdeveloped. There's so many things that needed to be done. And at that time, when I was there wasn't the move to get it done. I wanted to, and without cut a long story short, somehow I was kept away from doing it. But then later on, when Dhruva came, he got it done. And I was very happy, extremely happy that he did so much. He's an engineer. He did so much to develop, the place. So sometimes, now, what does that mean? Just by desiring to do it, even though I wanted to and didn't get a chance, I also get spiritual credits. So the answer to your question is, if it is possible to do the service without ruffling any feathers and causing any, or it won't feel like somebody's feeling that you're challenging them and taking it from them, then do the service. The best situation is to do it together. If both, both if we can. But if it is a situation where you won't be able to do the service for whatever the reason is, even though you wanted to, but you're not able to, leave it alone, because you will still get credits just because you decided you wanted to do that service. You'll get credits anyway.
Yeah, it makes me feel better. Thank you, Prabhu.
And speaking about services, one more point, and that is Krishna, and Bhakti Maharaj told me this, and I've heard it in other lectures also. Krishna watches your mood towards the service, your mood towards it. It shouldn't be mechanical. It should be from the heart. And the things that we could do, we could serve and not do. That is, we could do, but we decided we didn't want to do it. That's going to affect us. If we had the time, if we had the means, and we decided, I don't really care about it, that means that we're not putting our hearts into it. So Krishna watches what we hold back to from a service. We could do, and for no good reason, or from a very flimsy reason, we decide not to do it. That basically says that we don't love Krishna very much. Just compared to the gopis, it's exactly the opposite. They'll drop everything just to serve Krishna. They'll drop everything to serve Krishna. So if we don't want to, then it's like we are doing anti-gopi service. Exactly the opposite of their mind, their mentality. So we don't want to do that. We always, plunge in and do the best that we can. Krishna sees, Lord is in our heart. So whatever situation we're in, if it is genuinely true that we can't do a service for good reason, we won't be held responsible for that. But if we can, and we just deliberately let go, or don't, sometimes some devotees that are doing well materially, they just want somebody to have service to do, they just go have a good time someplace else. And, you do that in the heavenly planets, even there, they'll curse you. Lord Indra did that one time. They curse somebody to come right to the earth for not doing their service, offering flowers when they were supposed to. It's the whole thing. It's one of the Kadashi pastime that happened. That it's a husband and wife, and then finally they were rescued because in the Kadashi day they fasted, and that's how they got back. So we gotta be careful about service. That attitude has to be from the heart. We want to do it, but somebody else wants to do it. Okay. If you can't do it, let's do it first. First thing, let's do it together. If they refuse that, let them do it. Let them do it, because your intention was to do it, and you get spiritual credit even for the intention alone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Any other final questions? Okay, so we can end then. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpa Ruvesya Vasinivya
Patitanam
Dhanam Pavaneve Vaishnaveya Namo Namaha Sirupadi Ki Jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.